Outer Orange.
No. Welcome back, everybody, to another top 5 rogue video. But basically today we're going to be going over what I consider some really good rogue picks. There's actually a lot. This is a really fun set. I think there's a lot to offer. Last set was a little bit rough in my opinion. I think there was a little bit more restrictive to what you can and cannot do. But this set, a lot of decks got support, and I actually do think there's some decent options within it all. So we're going to be looking at all of that today. All right, fam, here we are. Now, before I begin this, I do want to mention like what the top decks are. I realize I haven't really been doing that, but some of the top decks is decks like Overlord, Bob Sakar, Vergilla, Heartlaroo, Minerva, and a couple others down the line. So hopefully on the English meta will be a little bit different as we go into BCS season. I'm starting off here with Argosire, and I think this deck is extremely slept on. I got a new card right here. It's this guy, and I'll talk about him here in a little bit, and also got the secondary new card that's also really, really good. We'll talk about her here in a second too. This Argosire is a 5 attack focused deck that basically, I play this deck, so I actually know a lot of knowledge on this one. Like, I mean, I actually really spent a lot of time on this. Some of the decks I spend less time on, so I have like less information. But anyway, so this deck basically is just like you find your orders, and then you use your orders to multi-attack. You can have a Vanguard that restands and a rearguard that restands every single turn, with the exception of if you're going first. Here, that really helps a lot. It's a discard an order, draw 2 card, which means you discard your bad cards, draw better cards. And luckily enough, this deck plays orders from drop, deck, and basically anywhere, so you really don't have to worry about discarding them. It's basically just the same card that Bob got, but this one doesn't restand. Obviously the Vanguard will just restand instead. It also gets a bunch of power. It's really good. We also got this card, which really helps with the resource management of Argosire. Now this card basically says you can, when it's discarded by some kind of by your Argosire effect, which is the Vanguard effect, send a card to the bottom and then put this into soul, and then basically you either remove a counterblast or an energy blast effect from your Vanguard, which means if you're going first, you remove the counterblast. If you're going second, or if you're on Persona, you can kind of pick and choose which one depending on the state of the game, which is really nice. She also basically on like Rearguard Circle also gains extra power as well. So also she's an Argosire, which means she has searchable top 7 effects off of the orders. Also, this guy's a tier knight, which means he's also grabbable off of the Argosire effect. And if you guys don't remember, Argosire does, she basically lets you discard a card you'll usually discard in your grade 1. And then you choose a Titan card from your drop and put it into your order zone, so you just directly put it in there and then you have access to it. She also gains power. So if she gets power, if your Bidzo has 1 or more, she gets plus 5k, and then if you have 2 or more, your front row gets plus 5k instead, which is also really good, which means you just basically just instantly start applying pressure on your front row, which is also really nice. And then also, like I said, this last ability is basically the one where you bind your 2 orders, and then you get their effects based off of what they do when they bind. This one, where you choose a rear guard. This one, your Vanguard restands, but only if your opponent's grade 3 or greater. Persona guy, just an extra power buff guy if you really want to close out on a turn versus, you know, just drawing cards. The Persona guy gives 10k to itself and something else, so you can make whatever, you can make the Vanguard bigger, you can make it bigger with something else. It just depends what you're trying to do. You can make a booster bigger, so you kind of just pick and choose. It just makes your overall board bigger. You can also just like Soul Blast activates ability and then call something over it to then just give extra power. So if you're really trying to go for a kill turn, this is really just a kill turn card. It is kind of like a win more button, so I'm not necessarily know if you need it. The thing that this deck lacks is like actual true pressure. The pressure is all like on the restands, but the issue, nothing really gains crits. You just kind of have to check crits, and that's like really the downside of the deck in my opinion. I think it's literally what's holding it back. If they got a rear guard that says on restand get a crit if your opponent's a grade 3 or greater or whatever, this deck would be infinitely stronger. Like if this card had that on the restand specifically, like maybe not get the power but specifically get the crit, and it has to be restricted from being grade 3 or greater, I think this deck would be like infinitely stronger in my opinion. I think that's actually what's holding it back right now. It's just that extra pressure somewhere. I also have Magnolia on here. This one I'm a little bit weird about. I think this deck has something that can make it work, but it's just a little struggling. You notice in the ride line I am running something a little bit different than other people would run. It's just something I'm trying out right now. I've been trying to make, I spent the whole weekend trying to make this deck work, both mask and regular version. I think the regular version is still the better version, which makes me sad because I prefer the mask version because of the retire options that you have in that build. But it's okay. We got to do what we got to do, right? We can't have everything. So this is Magnolia. We have this new grade 2 that came out, and she basically says you can Soul Blast check top 7 for Magnolia, and basically you can grab it and add to hand, which is really good because we kind of want that. You might be wondering, why is this in the ride line? Well, I don't really like the normal grade 2 ride line that's in here. It's like, okay, you just Soul Blast, grab a grade 3 back. It's better in Mask in my opinion. In here it's weird, or it's better in like Elder. Like if you're playing the grade 4 variant, it's better in those kind of versions. But otherwise it feels very weird to play. So I've been trying other stuff in the ride line. This one works really well with the Leonord combo. So what you basically do is when you ride to 3, you Soul Blast with this effect. You Soul Blast this. You draw a card, and then you use Maggie's ability to then fetch this back to the board, and then use its ability to Soul Blast check top 7. You might think it's a lot of soul. It's not. This deck has like infinite soul almost. It's like ridiculous how much soul this deck accumulates. In the beginning, you won't have much soul, but I promise you by like late game, you'll have like a whole stack and be like, am I playing Dark States today? Like, what is happening? So we also got this other new grade too. I don't think a lot of people have been talking about Tepar. I think Tepar is really good. But I think the biggest thing about him is that he doesn't get targeted by stuff, and he does have 10k shield on him. And he's also like a 15k any zone, so you can kind of keep him in the back row somewhere and then just keep intercepting with him and then calling him back out if you need to. And also he is also shield in your hand as well. So something I really like about him. So I actually really like this card. Also, like once you officially are on a persona turn and then you persona with this on top of that, this guy gets massive. He's when something else attacks, he gets the power. So he's a 10k. Magnolia gives another plus 5k, he's 25. Back row with persona is 35. So it's a really good number and it's a really good shield, and Magnolia lets everything intercept, and people can't actually pinpoint target it. It can't be retired, it can still be bound, just FYI. But I just think it's a really good backup package to like not die. You can run something else in this slot. You can also just put this in its slot as well and then run the regular grade 2, and look at that, you have the same deck again. Like, it's just, you have a lot of flexibility with what you want to run. This isn't like the end all be all list. There's so many different ways to build this deck, it's not even funny. But anyways, that's basically that. We obviously want this. This is really like your main, if you don't find this, you kind of just lose the game. That's actually another reason why I'm running this. It guarantees me to get the search out as soon as possible. Also, I instantly get access to my persona stuff, also really nice. If you're afraid of it getting bound though, you don't want this in the ride line, and maybe you can keep it in the ride line, maybe run like one extra copy in your main deck as well. It just gave me more space to experiment, so that's why I have it this way. We're still running the grade 2 that lets you draw. We still have this card to let you get more board presence once you like re-ride Magnolia. We also have the goat here. You can run something else in this slot, you don't need this. I really like the goat because it's just a good card that lets your Vanguard get bigger, but also can draw if it's on the board. I run Bison because we don't have access to retire, so I run this Bison here. It really helps with that kind of retire, or if your opponent has like really beefy like interceptors, you can just swing into the front row. They lose them all instantly. They have to like guard it basically. And with persona everything, he'll be relatively big, so they probably will just let it go, because it won't be worth guarding. Something to keep in mind. I do run the Tiger. I think this is really the main win con of this deck. I don't think there's actually a way to win with this deck aside from checking OT sometimes. This really helps like really push out that last bit of damage to kind of get through and win. Obviously run Teddy to kind of help with that as well. Teddy's also like your other pseudo finisher. If you drop like 2 Teddies with like a Tiger, usually your opponent is going to be guarding a lot or taking it depending on the damage that they're at. I run 4 of this. I think this card's insane. I think this is the only reason this deck's even alive. I think this draw is just super important. Also, the fact they can bottom deck and then buff up your dudes, also really important. Just a lot of good stuff in one card. Also, the Soul Blast Energy Blast to draw is really useful. Good discard, you can keep like good cards in your hand. Just a really good overall card. I run this because, like I told you really get a lot of soul as the game goes later. You can actually just slot in literally anything else. This could be ladder. This could be like literally any other Regalis piece. I'm just throwing this in here just because I feel like it. You can actually just run any Regalis piece on the planet. It'll work. I also run we were discussing this. We actually don't know. And you guys can tell me what this is. Is this a strawberry, a tomato, or an apple? We were all arguing that's an apple. And then I was like, no, it kind of looks like a tomato. Somebody in our locals was like really looking at this card. That thing has seeds on it. And normally, you know, seeds means it's not an apple anymore because the seeds are inside. So tell me what you think it is. This is just a light on it because there's not many like back things in the back. So I still think it's a tomato, but it definitely looks like an apple, but I'm just stubborn. I'm just like sticking to my argument. Tell me below what you think it is if you're this far. And also, if you get how to get gold, please like and subscribe. I do this a lot, so I will always do something stupid that will usually hopefully make you smile. So yeah. Next we have Arty. I have been an Arty hater for a while because I hated how generic slop the deck was for like basically 2 sets. And we're finally getting to a point where she actually has her own dudes. And I actually don't like Uica in this deck. I know it's kind of like a controversial take here. I don't really like Uica. I've never really been a fan. It's really good for turn 2, and then after that, it's kind of a dead card, and it's just basically discard fodder. I was just never really a fan of that kind of playstyle. I'm also not a huge fan of generic slop playstyle either. It's the reason I don't really play Keter too much. I don't really like that kind of playstyle. I actually like playing decks that have like an identity to them, that feel like it's like their actual deck. It's just something I enjoy. Tell me below how you feel about that. In case you're in the comment section kind of like about to type, feel free to tell me how you feel about that concept of generic versus like identity type of style of decks. Maybe I can make a video on it. I don't know. Be a kind of cool concept. But anyway, so this deck basically finally has some kind of identity. Still running some generic here, but nothing too crazy. I do think the Blitz Scroll is pretty good in the deck, and also I do run this card that lets me choose card bounce it back. So whenever I boost something, I can just go and fetch this back to hand and do it again if I want to. So I really like that. But we did get this new girl right here. She basically helps a lot. It's a really good stabilizer for the deck. Whenever something's retired. When she's retired, you basically get to call a token out. So if you're facing to Bob, she's in the front row somehow, anywhere on the board, guess what? You just get you get your value out of it, which is really, really good. It's something really rare, and I actually really like this concept is like when something happens that's bad, you still get some kind of value out of it. And it's not very common in especially in standard to kind of see this. This is more common in premium. Basically something like you have some kind of interaction on your opponent's turn, and this is one of the few cards in the game that can do this. There's not that many. There are some cards that have some interaction with while you're on your opponent's turn. This is one of them. But basically when she's retired, guess what? You get a token. That's great. Like, that's awesome. So you have to call it to back row, which is even better, which means it's less snipeable or less targetable in some way, shape, or form. So you basically just have a starting turn with a token on the board if you have to. It's just really good. Also, when she's played, she also lets you find these cards right here. So that's also really good. So you can also just filter your deck a little bit faster, so that way you have less of these poo-poo cards in your hand and you're drawing into better quality cards. It's also really good because these cards are great, but they're really not that great in your hand. You really don't want them, so that's really good as well. Aside from that, the deck hasn't changed too much. We do have this new little raccoon girl. She's absolutely adorable. She's discarded, you can put her soul, but you can also charge with her, put her in her soul as well. So basically she lets your soul keep going. I think this deck, like at least the way I have it built, has a lot of soul, which I don't think is terribly a bad thing, but maybe it's a little overdoing it. I might maybe need to cut back a card or two. I don't know. Like I said, Yuika would be this girl right here, but I just really like this girl because she gains power and she also disappears and she bounces something, which I really like. Late game, she becomes kind of bad, but so does Yuika late game. Like, what are you bouncing a token? You know what I mean? Like, eventually it comes to that point where you're kind of bouncing tokens over dudes. OT wise, you can play whatever OT you want. I think blue's not too bad. I'm trying purple, but you can run blue as well. I'm very excited to try this out. I actually haven't fully tried this out. I've tried the version without this card and this card out. I have not tried this version yet, but I've seen other people play and it looked really fun. So I actually saw a friend that brought this for like 2 days of the 3-day Vanguard day that we had kind of thing going on, and he was doing really well under it. He was kind of he doesn't play Vanguard too often. He was kind of forgetting some effects here and there, but overall it looks like he was having a great time with the deck, and I truly believe that the deck actually has some legs to it. So there's this one, and keep in mind, you don't forget you have some of the craziest mechanics in the game. You have the ability to lock right here. And if your opponent doesn't play around it, you can just kind of auto win into this. You can also deck people out. It's just a lot of value that you get off of it if your opponent really doesn't know how to play around it. So we have the Dino guy. I don't have my cards yet. I'm waiting on this one, so I haven't actually tried this. So this is actually from my amazing community, who's been dropping a ton of lists for me. Here's a tweet. I basically said, hey, any Dino lists out there? And we have Ginsimp here, who gave me a list. Very awesome. Aegis, who has an entire video. You should really check out his stuff. He always drops a bunch of videos for all the decks. He has a bunch of different decks. Check him out on YouTube. Also, we have Finn here also telling me about basically another option. Metro got us a bunch of the variations as well. There's a bunch of different builds as well that they posted here, which is very nice of them. I'll be trying them all out once I get my cards. I'm missing all the Dino support, and I actually never had Shira, whatever her name is. Never had her, so she's also coming in the mail. So like I said, I'm a little behind the Dragon Empire staples. So getting that, and then there's one more here as well that they did. And here's I can put this in the link for you guys to also check out. So I just kind of took what people gave me as options and kind of built my own version. It's almost similar to the first one I posted, but I changed I think I changed the OT. I don't remember what I changed. I changed something about it. I don't remember what though. Anyway, so this is Dino Boy. He just reads as Flagberg to me, so I really wanted to try it out because he basically has a guard restrict, but you have to like retire your whole board for it. So you have a bunch of utility to kind of get stuff back, like tokens. Shira comes back when she's retired, along with this guy comes back when he's retired. It's kind of heavy on the CB. Also, Energy Blast guy, if you Persona Ride, you can also get a grade 1 back. Some people are running the Chalice in the slot for actually probably for this exact effect. And then we have Shenri because she, draws cards early, which is a really good card. Drive, and then like your opponent has to guard with 3, which is my favorite part about this deck. And also if you check like Dragon Empire, you're restanding doing it again, I guess. I know it's one attack, so you can't really do that. But so that's probably why some people are not running Dragon Empire because it doesn't really work. You lose the cool effect on it. It is a when this attacks, and it's not a once per turn. So you could realistically, you could do it. You could, if you have a way to create a board, when it restands, like by some miracle, I don't know if Prima could do it, but you can technically do it twice. At least I have Orphus. Now, a lot of people from my last top rogue were like, why wasn't Orphus on there? Orphus didn't really get direct support. I tried to like bring out decks that got actual support of some form. Orphus didn't support the set. I got like 2 or 3 cards, and one of the cards I got was actually this guy. This wasn't actually my idea. This was actually my friend's idea, Sam, the same guy who I usually used to back in the day when OuterOrange first came out. We used to talk about Flagberg theory. He was like, why don't we put this card in it? And I think that was a good idea. So I did the same thing. You could still run like Combat Rush in this slot, or the regular grade 2, like with the one you normally run in this slot, is perfectly fine. You don't have to run this. We just chose to run it because we think it's cool. She basically, because you're gonna be soul blasting anyway with like all your different effects, basically from drop, if something gets retired, you can Entry Blast 2 bind her and take that retired card back to your hand. So ideally you want to grab your pieces back to hand like this. If you happen to have this on the board, you could bring this back to hand, and then you guess what, now you have your shield back, you can reuse it, stuff like that. You can even call like Persona or something because maybe you don't have anything else to call, and then you can bounce it back. So if you're like in a really pickle, she kind of helps you unpicklefy yourself. So it kind of helps with that. Everything else about this deck is standard. We're still running all the orders and stuff like that. Some people run less orders than I do, and then they run like some blitzes and stuff like that. I think that this deck just can't play if you just don't have orders in your order zone. So I just accept the fact that I die with the high roll and live with the high roll. Like that's just how I played this deck personally. So I just accept that if I have orders in my hand, I have orders in my hand. That's just how it is. There's a blitz out there that you can actually pitch your orders to like gain extra, to gain some defense. So you guys might want to check that out if you want to go super order heavy like I do. I have space to put it in, so I kept it out. Also, like this deck Energy Blast, like there's no tomorrow, so there's an Energy Blast card, so there isn't much room for it, but you can always try it out. You can take out like the ace for it. But the ace, I think the ace is really good. And that's basically it. That's the 5 decks. Now there are some like pretty high honorable mentions. I really want to like bring Ava to spotlight. I think Ava's really powerful right now. I want to put it in here, but I do think it's like kind of a known kind of spotlight. I think people are aware that Ava's good, obviously because we got the new TFL clone. Kind of spotlight Ava. I think Ava's really powerful during the weekend. Again, to bring up the same weekend because there's just so much. There's so many events that happened. There's just so much going on. I was able to kind of watch what people are doing. Ava did really well, like extremely well. And there's only one person repping her for some reason. I was expecting way more Ava players. I guess because people were still grabbing cards, still getting like their products, stuff like that. But that's also possible. But anyway, long story short, I think Ava's also really powerful, but way less represented, especially if you look at like results wise. It's nowhere near as popular as like some of the other picks. So I do consider it more of a rogue pick, just not all the way. But I thought I'd showcase the fact that Ava is definitely something to try out. I didn't showcase Dark States, which also has Jeweled in it. That deck seems pretty okay. It definitely is a little more casual in my opinion, more than like an actual deck, but you can still try out. There's also Lyle as well, Odium, and then there's Lyle Armorta that also got support. They're also pretty good. I didn't showcase those as well, but I think those are a little bit more known, so that's why I didn't showcase them. I hope you guys enjoy this, and 50 cards that shop, OuterOrange. If you need any of these cards, he's got a bunch in stock, and he's kind of tripping everything out right now, but there's more. If you need more cards or anything else, or sleeves or boxes or anything, he's got a bunch of that. You can also check out BCW Supplies. Use my code Orange10 to get yourself stuff on that side as well. If you need any like storage or comic books or anything else basically that 50 doesn't have, they'll have over there. So check that all that as well. Other than that, guys, hope you guys enjoy this. As always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, and all that fun stuff. Hit those buttons and all the bells. Do whatever you gotta do if you want to see this pretty face again. And then, guys, peace out. That's for that. I'll see you guys in a future video. Bye.